Ethan Walker stood in the command room of the Resolute, his eyes locked on the flickering holographic projection displayed across the floor. The Imperial fleet had arrived. Their sleek silver ships, polished to a blinding sheen, glided smoothly at the fringe of the solar system, casting an unearthly glow against the backdrop of space. His crew worked silently around him, the tension perceptible in the air. Just like clockwork, Ethan mumbled under his breath, his fingers brushing over the edge of the command console. They had expected this. Months of reconnaissance, secret signals, and rumors had all led to this moment. The Empire's hubris had been their sole constant, and now they had come to claim their supremacy over Earth. Lieutenant Sarah Hayes, his second-in-command, leaned in behind him. Her voice was tight, controlled. "Scan shows they've deployed their vanguard. Nothing too advanced yet, but it won't be long until they bring in the actual firepower." Ethan nodded, his expression inscrutable. "Excellent. Let them think we're not ready." Behind them, the remainder of the bridge crew exchanged worried glances. Earth had always been viewed as a backwater planet, its technology archaic, its fleet outmoded. The Galactic Empire had governed for millennia, crushing all who tried to defy them. Yet this time things were different. Earth had been preparing silently, steadily, and without the Empire's attention. Ethan pushed forward the illumination of the hologram, throwing sharp shadows on his face. "Trigger the cloaking field. Let them come a little closer." Lieutenant Hayes thought for a while, then nodded to the crew. Cloaking field activated. A faint hum filled the room as the Resolute shimmered briefly, vanishing from sight. On the Imperial screens, it would appear as though the ship had just disappeared, leaving only the immense vastness of space in its place. "They won't expect us to conceal," Ethan said, a bitter smile pulling at his lips. "The Empire has never been subtle. They'll send a few scouts to investigate, and when they do, they'll perceive us as an easy target." Hayes finished, "I know." She peered down at him. "Are you sure we're ready for this?" Ethan turned his gaze, locking onto hers. "We have no choice. This is the only way." A moment of silence hovered between them before she nodded, her gaze hardening with resolve. "Understood, sir." The minutes dragged on, each second ticking by like an eternity. Outside, the Imperial vanguard advanced slowly, their ship spreading long shadows across the void. They were swift, sleek, each one bristling with weaponry that could tear through a dozen planets. To the uninitiated view, Earth's Resolute seemed pathetically outmatched. But they didn't know the ship's real capabilities. Ethan watched as one of the Imperial scouts broke formation, moving closer to their location. "Wait for it," his voice was just above a whisper. The tension in the room was thick enough to cut with a knife. Every crew member's eyes were riveted to their stations, hands hanging over knobs waiting for the command. Closer. Closer. The scout ship's engines hummed steadily as it approached the invisible shape of the Resolute. "No," Ethan ordered. In an instant, the Resolute decloaked, its shape materializing like a predator out of the darkness. Before the Imperial scout could respond, the Resolute's weapon systems locked on, and with one precision blow, the spacecraft burst into a ball of fire and debris. The bridge burst into a whirl of motion. Lieutenant Hayes yelled directions, her voice loud and clear as the crew hurried to realign the aiming systems. The Empire would have noticed by now. There was no turning back. "They're rushing," one of the officers reported. "The rest of the fleet is on high alert." "Okay," Ethan replied. "Let them come. We're just getting started." From the fringe of the fleet, another group of ships broke formation. Larger this time, whistling with advanced weaponry. The Empire was done playing games. "They're sending in their cruisers," Lieutenant Hayes said, her voice tense with anticipation. "Shields are up. Weapons ready." Ethan's eyes tightened as the Imperial ships closed in. The tension on the bridge was electric. His fingers pounded softly on the console as he evaluated their next move. "Gun, stand by," he ordered. The command was calm, almost disconnected. Around him, the team held their breath waiting for the inevitable clash. The Imperial cruisers started firing first, dazzling bolts of electricity lancing through space. The Resolute swerved smoothly, its thrusters firing in rapid bursts to avoid the assault. Yet it was all a diversion. The Empire still didn't comprehend what they were dealing with. "Engage the pulse cannon," Ethan said, his voice low but strong. Lieutenant Hayes hesitated. "Sir, that's—" "I know what it is," Ethan cut her off. "Do it." Without another word, the crew complied. Deep beneath the Resolute, the pulse cannon began to charge, its core shining with a bright, terrifying light. The buzz of power rippled across the ship as the weapon prepared to discharge. Outside, the Imperial cruisers continued their assault, oblivious of the trap they had walked into. "On my mark," Ethan said, his attention never leaving the holographic projection. The Empire had come to destroy Earth's opposition, confident in their superiority. But they had no idea how far humanity had come or how much they had to lose. The pulse cannon attained full charge, its glow now apparent on the outside of the spacecraft. Ethan's thumb hovered over the firing control, his heart beating in his chest. Fire. A blinding flash erupted from the Resolute, a surge of energy unlike anything the Imperial ships had ever faced. The cruisers, previously mighty and intimidating, flickered as their shields crumbled beneath the force of the blast. Systems failed. Weaponry powered down, and in an instant, the Empire's pride was destroyed. Ethan watched as the enemy ships drifted helplessly, their systems offline. The Resolute stood victorious. Yet he knew this was only the beginning. Captain Lieutenant Hayes inhaled, her voice filled with awe and horror. "What now?" Ethan's gaze remained riveted on the broken wreckage of the Imperial fleet. "No," he said quietly. "We wait." But as the words left his mouth, a caution light began to blink on the console. A signal from deep beneath the ship. Something was wrong. "Sir," an officer cried out, his voice strained with stress, "we've had a fault. It's—" Before he could finish, the ship lurched abruptly, and sirens blared across the bridge. Ethan's heart fell. The real war had just begun. The ship's arrival was a difficulty he hadn't considered, and the ramifications were alarming. Who were they, and what did they want? As the mysterious vessel closed in, its energy level spiking, Ethan recognized the next fight was already upon them. "Prepare for impact," he instructed, his voice firm despite the anxiety biting at his belly. The team hurried to respond, but deep down, Ethan knew they were completely unprepared for what was coming next. The Resolute shuddered as the mysterious vessel closed the distance, its dark angular form slashing through space like a sword. Ethan's heart raced, his thoughts calculating possibilities faster than he could articulate them. This ship was Imperial. Its design, its energy signature, nothing resembled what they had seen before. And yet, it felt familiar. Too familiar. "Shields are at 50% and rising," Lieutenant Hayes reported, her voice tight with urgency. "Weapon systems are online, but they're still recharging from the pulse." Ethan barely heard her. His eyes were riveted on the holographic display, following the mysterious ship's route. It wasn't shooting, not yet, but it was moving closer. Too close. "Who the hell are they?" he mumbled, more to himself than to everyone else. Behind him, Dr. Niles appeared, his face pale, a sheen of sweat on his forehead. "Captain," he began, his voice low, "I performed a scan on that ship. Its energy profile is almost identical to the technology we've been utilizing for the pulse cannon." Ethan snapped his head toward Niles, eyes wide. "What are you suggesting?" "I'm saying that ship might have come from the same source as the technology we reverse-engineered," Niles continued. "They know what we're capable of since they constructed the original." The air in the command room seemed to freeze. Ethan could feel the weight of Niles's words weighing down on him, the knowledge seeping in. Quick. This wasn't a random meeting. This was something much bigger than the Empire, bigger than anything they had anticipated. "Sir," Hayes cried out, "incoming message from the mysterious ship. Could I patch it through?" Ethan commanded, his voice firm despite the mounting anxiety in his chest. The holographic display flashed as the picture of a creature appeared. They were humanoid, yet their features were sharp, elongated. Their skin was pale silver that shimmered under the faint illumination of the ship's lights. Eyes like dark onyx examined Ethan from across the void. "Captain Walker," the entity said, its voice deep and resonant, "you've done well to wield our technology against the Empire, but this conflict was never yours to wage." Ethan's jaw tightened. "Who are you?" "We are the architects of the weapon you now call a pulse cannon. Long ago, we abandoned the usage of such technology, for we realized the dangers it posed. But you have resurrected it." A chill crept up Ethan's spine. He could hear the condemnation in the being's voice, a quiet seething fury beneath the surface. "We didn't have a choice," Ethan shot back. "The Empire forced our hand." The entity tilted its head slightly, as though pondering his words. "Perhaps," it said, "but the repercussions of your conduct are beyond your comprehension." Ethan's glare sharpened. "If you're here to stop us, you'll have to do better than a lecture." A minute of stillness passed. Then the entity spoke again, its voice colder. "We are not your enemy, Captain. Yet, if you go on this way, we will be." Ethan clenched his fists. He didn't have time for cryptic warnings. Earth was still under peril. The Resolute was barely hanging together after the last conflict. And now they were dealing with a people whose technology transcended even the Empire's. The weight of duty bore down on him. And yet there was no turning back. "I don't have time for games," Ethan remarked, his voice low yet fierce. "If you have something to say, speak it. Otherwise, get out of my way." The being's gaze narrowed, and for a moment, Ethan thought he had been pushed too far. But instead of wrath, the being's countenance softened into something resembling sadness. "You don't understand," it stated quietly. "The Empire's reinforcements are not what you should dread. The technology you wield is unstable, hazardous. It was never designed to be used this way. If you continue, you will destroy not only your opponents but yourselves." Ethan felt a pang of doubt in his chest, but he pushed it aside. "There is no time for worry here. We'll deal with the repercussions," he said. The creature scrutinized him for a long while, then nodded slowly. "Very fine, Captain, but remember this, the road you stroll now will lead to catastrophe. When the time comes, you will confront a choice, and the fate of your world will depend on it." With that, the transmission terminated, the figure fading into darkness. The unknown ship remained in the distance for a moment longer. Then, without a word, it turned and faded into the stars, leaving the Resolute alone once more.